guys. Hey, folks. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Hello, Mrs. Frantzman. Hello, Great Gold and Twist Mint, and who else? Who else did I miss? Friday night, adult beverage night, and no one is zucking here. So, no, I've always I've been like asking. I ask, "Hello, Starlight." I'm asking myself the question. Periscope hanging here. Periscope. It's going to make you realize the problem with phones once he's got some viewers. Found it amusing when FB got zucked this week. Yep. It's not that amusing. It's like, good for you. It's good for you to have, it's good for you to see that Zuckbook gets zucked. Then you realize you don't need Zuckbook. So we don't have a lot of people in here, so maybe we should just do small talk before we start to get the people in here. I don't know. It's a little bit frustrating because I'm just noticing a reduction in participation in scopes recently. Hello, Ben, and I don't know if if it's something I'm doing, then let me know. Can you turn up the mic a little? The mic is fine. The mic is fine, Starlight. I can't be I can't talk to your level here at all times. So anyway, do I need to let me put some gain on this mic here. Hold on a second here. Let me add some volume to the mic. Let me add some gain. Hold on a second. Hold on. Adding gain. There. Okay, adding gain to the mic. Adding gain to the mic. Okay, there we go. Adding gain to the mic. So you have more gain now. So, anyway, as always, I ask people to watch me on YouTube if you can, because I need those watch hours. So if you can do it, then it'd be great if you watch me on YouTube instead. The Periscope numbers don't really matter right now, so it's more about just getting viewers on YouTube. So that would be appreciated if you can. Otherwise, there's not that many people here, so it doesn't matter. So we'll. I guess my topic is not that interesting. So I think it's interesting. Twistmint thinks the topic is interesting. Hello, Keith. I think Twistmint thinks the topic is interesting. I mean, he, I warned him in advance that I'm going to talk about this, and it's kind of a ironic kind of events that have been happening the last few weeks. Hello, Keith. How are you doing, my friend? Ironic thing has been happening in the last few weeks, especially after what I heard from Jack Dorsey when he was being interviewed by Joe Rogan. And it's very interesting to see where this is going. And now a couple of new things have happened. And it's very fascinating that we have this little battle of wills when it comes to censorship. And the battle of wills is hard to figure out. I'm actually not sure where it's going to go. I'm not clear. I'm not clear on where it's going to go, but I want to talk about it. And just some housekeeping things that I want to talk about. I from now on I will make my broadcast shorter. I'm not going to go 2 hours. I'm going to do a planned objective of getting done by 9:30. All I know is Skynet username and password shows up using Wireshark. Yeah, you use Wireshark and you see an unencrypted password wherever you're going. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, you're not using HTTPS, Yeshua. If you're going to a place where you're typing your password without HTTPS, you gotta wonder. Okay? Which website would ask you for username and password without HTTPS? That is completely zucked up. Completely zucked up. So anyway, to backtrack to what we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about the topic of censorship. And it doesn't mean I have a solution for you, but I just want to tell you what's been happening. And everything is contradictory, and it's fascinating to watch. I'm not sure I have a conclusion for you. I don't know where it's going to go. But what is interesting now is that multiple parties are trying to counter each other in the censorship world just because the platforms are doing the censorship. So they're trying to override what the platforms are doing. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history, and then we'll talk about it. But again, some housekeeping. I'm planning on shooting for a target of 9:30. 9:30 for ending my scope, because normally I play music and I'm not. So I don't know why I'm extending it to 10 when I'm not playing music. So okay, so it'll be. It doesn't need to be that long since I'm doing videos on the side. So hello, Entiremeyer. So I'm gonna shoot for an hour and a half. Amazon 2. So anyway, let's first start with a little bit of history. So the first thing that started to happen was that the platforms in the last year or so especially started to do some heavy-handed censorship. Started with YouTube. Yes, I'm on YouTube right now. YouTube started the heavy censorship. Facebook, and then it went to Twitter, and then it went to all the financial arms like MasterCard, Visa, Patreon, PayPal, and so now everyone is involved in the censorship thing. And I don't know what it is. Every one of these entities think that they're helping society by doing the censorship, and there are side effects now, and the side effects is what we're going to talk about today. Strange side effect, very, very strange, and it shows the unpredictability of this. One of the things that I wanted to tell you is that when you do something, it never happens in a vacuum, never. So on the internet, this is like the wild, wild west here. So when you do something on the internet and you say, I'm going to stop somebody from speaking, it doesn't happen in a smooth way. There's going to be a lot of bumps. Okay, and now what happened was because of the censorship, it's actually gotten more and more complicated. And it's going to be complicated because of three things we're going to talk about tonight, which is NewsGuard, Dissenter, and Jigsaw. All three recent products that came out to supposedly protect you and allow you to control what you see on the internet. And this has caused an even bigger issue. And I want to talk about New Zealand too, because that's exactly an example of the censorship that I didn't want to see. So talking about New Zealand for a second. So I saw on Twitter that there was all this information on New Zealand, and this guy posted the video from Facebook Live, I guess, on Twitter. And then I clicked on that, and I saw on the comments of the Twitter post, so many people, I would say 50%, hello Savvy, 50% of the people are saying in there, delete this, this is so bad, let's delete it, remove it, take it out, take it down. So by the time I got in there, I could not actually click on the video. The video was not running. Okay, again, I want to repeat this. This is just our gut reaction. Here's an evil that was done in New Zealand. Evil done in New Zealand. And the gut reaction is, take it down, take the video down. And whoever it is complied and took it down. So when I got in there, I don't know why the video is lagging, Doug. Fix it for me. YouTube is censoring your comments. Don't use caps. I censor caps, and I censor links. That's what I censor on YouTube, and I have some bad words that I censor. Okay, that's me censoring. It's in my setup. Okay, so I'm doing that intentionally. For example, you can't say stick an egg roll up my zazz. That doesn't work. I censor that. Okay, or similar kind of wording. Okay, so I have so many side stories. I have a Patreon account. Guys, and Patreon put me on suspicious account mode. They no saying Zaz. Yeah, you could say Zaz, I guess, but suspicious. So Patreon is suspending my account for so I can't take out money because it says I'm a suspicious account. Okay. So and I was wondering to myself, what the heck do I do? What the heck do I do that's suspicious? I mean, I use a VPN. Beyond that, is there anything that I do? Am I a bad guy? Do I broadcast about bad things? Do I do evil things? And yet, Patreon is doing its best to censor me, and so it went in there and marked me as a suspicious account, and therefore I have to wait for a trust and security specialist to get back to me as they review my account. And I was wondering what the Zuck. Then I kind of read their community guidelines, and one of the things on the community guidelines that stuck out to me that was very interesting was the word doxing. So I have a video how to dox. I have a video how to dox. Well, I mean, it's like so are they banning me because I will dox some troll that comes in here? I only do that when somebody's attacking me. So I do it in defense, and they're gonna say, "Well, we're gonna ban you for Patreon for doxing." I only dox people who hurt us, who come in here to hurt other people. So that was very interesting. So certainly haven't doxed anyone since I've been on Patreon. So except for the video on how to dox, which is not really about how to dox, but how to keep yourself safe from doxing. So that was like very, very interesting, and it's like zucked up. So like I almost feel like just telling patrons just refund the money to whoever gave the money, and just zuck you, patron. I was like, what the zuck are you doing? What kind of censorship do you want to do? It's like, I don't do anything bad. I mean, you should know that. You should know that already. So anyway, I'm waiting. I mean, it's it's been a few weeks here, and they still haven't. I just looked at my account, and it said that I'm restricted because I'm a suspicious account. Nothing done. I sign up for Patreon, and I have a couple of patrons in there, and there's money sitting there, and I can't take it out because they said I have a suspicious account. So it's like, zuck you. It's like, I don't need Patreon. So, if they don't want me to be on there, just refund the zucking money and move on with life here. Okay? No, it's not that, Ben. Nobody could have reported me, but they may have looked at my YouTube, and one of the titles says, How to Dox. It's my guess, because that's in their community guidelines. So, but, I'm teaching people to protect themselves from doxing. It's not about me doxing. It's about protecting you. I'll send you a money order. Thank you, Claire. Actually, I have a PayPal. I don't even know why I even need... why do I even need Patreon? I have a PayPal account that is the same place that Patreon pays. They just take a cut for no reason. So Twitter recently commented on a suspicious comment about Snowden ducked feet. Thank you, Starlight. Thank you. So anyway, it's just the craziness of everyone is like on this, like we want to be on the super duper edge of, at the top end edge of censorship. So we'll censor everyone for whatever reason. Okay. There's already one on Brax, John. It's called tokens. You can give tokens to anyone. So you don't have to go through Patreon. You can just give tokens to anyone on Brax. So BraxMe has a token system. So you can buy tokens and give tokens. So same zucking deal. Okay, same thing. So why I even set up Patreon, I don't even know. It's not even necessary. So token is, I believe it's 100 tokens for a, what's it? It's $10 is 100 tokens. It's like 10 cents for a token. Something like that. So 100 tokens is $10. When you buy it, you know how much it costs. So that's, I think it's $9.99 for 100 tokens, something like that. So, well, you know what you're spending in cash, so then that tells you how much it is you're giving. So anyway, I'm not really going to worry about it too much, but I certainly don't want them to take the money of the people giving money on Patreon, and they're not giving it to me, and they're holding it because of a suspicious account. And I'm like saying, well, if you're going to flag me as a suspicious account for doing nothing, then just kill the zucking thing. Don't take their zucking money. Don't take the money of the people, giving it to them. If you're just going to hold it, then don't take the sucking money. Okay, I don't really need Patreon. It's not important to me. I got other means of doing this. Okay, delayed. Thank you, Maui. I don't know. I can't help it. So anyway, it's just censorship everywhere. Everyone, everyone wants to, say, well, we want to, stop hate. And I don't know. I hate to use the word snowflake. I really do, because it's almost like snowflake suggests, right wing against left wing, and I hate using that term. But the fact of the matter is, we have a certain group that's just oversensitive to everything, and they just can't accept that the world is rough. The world is rough out there, okay? The world is rough, and I moved my piano here. So the world is rough. We'll just read your lips. The world is rough, and there's violence in the world, and sometimes you find people with toy guns like this. No, I didn't say that, Maui. I didn't say that. So they're probably going to say, we're going to ban you because you have a toy gun. Okay, yes, it is a sucking toy gun. See that? It's a toy gun. Okay? Okay? Even though I have a right in the Second Amendment to own a real one, that's a sucking toy gun. But somebody's going to say, well, that's enough to sucking block you in the sucking internet. Amazon just banned another book. Modern book burning. Zuck, Moira. Zuck. I mean, that's just zucked up. What books are they banning now? What books are they banning? I mean, I'm curious what it is. What are they banning? Like anti-Muslim books or what? What could you possibly ban? Natural health? They're going to ban, because of, vaccination and things, right? Yeah, vaccination and all that. Well, I understand, I studied medicine, so don't come to me and say I'm anti-vaccination, because I'm not. But in any case, freedom of speech, freedom of right to choose. I don't have a problem with any of that. But look, guys, this is the problem. So social media said we're going to start censoring everyone in social media. So they said, okay, we're going to censor, whoever is speaking out there because of hate speech. So they can't say anything, especially about religion. Number one way to get blocked on any social media is to mention any kind of religious thing. Actually, you can actually say anti-Christian things. That's not going to get you banned. Anti-Christian things does not get you banned. Okay? But certain other things, and I'm not going to say it, certain other things will ban you from sucking social media. And so there's like a protected class here. Okay, a protected class, and this applies to everything. A protected class with some religions, a protected class with some, personal choices, and a protected class with some beliefs. And those, if you speak against that, they say you're attacking somebody personally. And if you attack somebody personally, then you are going to be banned on social media. Okay? You're going to be banned on social media. It's just my opinion is, and this is my opinion, and you can certainly not believe me, and you can go leave and go someplace else if you don't accept what I say. But I'm going to say that I believe that this has been taken to a far extreme, and there are side effects to this. Even beliefs that many of us commonly believe. We're not even allowed to say that we commonly believe that this is a problem. We can't even say that. I'm not even going to say it because I don't want to get blocked on social media. But I can't even say that yes, certain types of behavior and certain types of religions may cause a certain type of behavior on the internet and in real life. Oh, I can't say that. I can't say that. I'm going to be banned. I'm anti-mercury in vaccinations. No mercurium. Well, mercury is definitely toxic. Anything that stops the flow of money. So anyway, I'm like saying to myself, okay, so they start banning, and then I said, this is never going to end. This is like physics. Action, reaction, action, reaction, action, reaction. So the first action was they started banning. And, again, I like using Alex Jones as an example because I honestly feel Alex Jones is kind of weird. I'm going to be frank with you. I do think he's kind of weird. That's my personal feel. I mean, you don't have to believe that, but I do feel that. Especially when he starts talking about interdimensional aliens. I start to say, you are zucking losing it, Alex Jones. You are zucking losing it to talk about interdimensional aliens. But guess what, guys? Talking about interdimensional aliens isn't going to kill me. It doesn't kill me for him to talk about interdimensional aliens. It doesn't hurt my feelings that he... Sorry. It doesn't hurt my feelings that Jones talks about interdimensional aliens. He can talk about all he wants. I think he speaks for himself. I think the effects of what he says is obvious. I don't think any of us need any special instruction on what Alex Jones represents just by talking about inter-zucking dimensional aliens. However, I wouldn't consider Alex Jones dangerous. I don't find Alex Jones dangerous. I mean, he's not out there telling me to, kill anyone. Some people think he does, but, it's all in, as I've seen it, it's all in jest. So I don't, as far as I'm concerned, is that somebody that's worth banning just because he's opposite of your political belief? And if you think he says fake news, my reaction is, who cares? So I said, who cares? If he's saying, something, that you classify as fake news, then so what? Free speech. I mean, I can say the sky's blue, the sun is green, and you say, well, no, it's not. The sky is blue, but sun is not green. And then you can argue that all you want. And the guy says, well, I'm colorblind. That's what I see. And I was like, suck you. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So the point is, they banned somebody like an Alex Jones, and they banned a lot of people. Just my common sense reaction is a little bit of a reach. Some of the reasons for banning are, that he made a comment against a comment that, was violent, that he showed a child being beaten and all that, which was not his video. It was just showing somebody else's video, apparently. That he made comments about, that the Sandy Hook thing was not real. And if he says that and it's real, and he says it's not real, then let him say it, and then we can all look back and say, fake news. I mean, basically the entities out there are telling us that we can't decide that we are actually fools, so we watch this and say, oh yeah, what he says is absolutely 100% real. Actually, to be honest with you, if you actually watch, an Alex Jones, you will find that there's a lot of truth in what he says. There's a lot of, fake news in there too, but there's some truth in there. So then if you listen closely, stuff that I talk about, like surveillance and NSA this and NSA that, are true, but he just keeps going. He doesn't know when to stop and say, okay, I can prove up to here, but no, he doesn't. I can't prove this point, but then he keeps going and going and going and making more assumptions about the reality, which then makes it sound like fake news. But that is not, to me, sufficient reason for blocking or for banning somebody or suspending somebody on the internet. So again, going back to the New Zealand event. So this guy made a live stream. By the way, you don't have to agree with me, okay? You might hate what I say, and you can leave and say, I'm zucked up. You don't have to believe what I say, guys. You don't have to believe what I say. But I went to Twitter, and I wanted to watch the video of this guy that apparently live streamed his attack on the mosque. And people said, take it down, because of all the violence. And guess what it did, guys? Guess what it did? Because I could not see the violence, I cannot now remember it being that violent. What would have happened if I actually saw the violent video? Then I would come back and say, wow, that is pretty violent. And I might have a different opinion about it once I see the extent of the violence. Now it's just third party. They said that it was violent. And in my mind, I said, well, is it really violent? Maybe not, because I didn't really see it. And then out of sight, out of mind, it's going to be forgotten, and I'm not going to remember it. And I'm eventually, at some time in the future, I'm going to say something along the lines of, oh, the Holocaust didn't happen because I didn't see it. Holocaust didn't happen. I didn't see it, so must not be real. Must not be real. I don't know if you get what I'm saying here, but that's the effect of censorship. It's when you say, we're going to withhold this information from you. We don't want you to see the actual evils because it's so evil we don't want you to see it. Until it gets to a point where I say, well, it wasn't that evil then because I didn't see it, so it must not have been that evil. Must not have been that evil. But if you look at the history books and go to the History Channel and see hundreds of Jews being put into this building, and they're gonna go gas them, and you can see it on the video that they're, these people seem like they weren't expecting anything, and they were like being pushed into this chamber that was going to be their gas chamber. And I saw that. I reacted to that a little bit differently than somebody just saying it to me. But they have now deprived me of the way of seeing that because, wow, we can't handle it. It's too much. Too much violence. So we don't want to see violence in the universe. It doesn't exist. So my reaction is, yep, we can't talk about it. Censor it. They were told it was a shower. I can imagine Starlight, but now they say, well, we don't want to see those videos. It's too violent, so we're not going to go show it. So now a new generation comes up and said, okay, we didn't really actually see the violence in this New Zealand thing, so maybe it didn't happen. Maybe it wasn't such a big deal. Maybe it was unimportant. Maybe we should forget about it. Because this is already happening. They're already censoring that video. I mean, why can't we as individuals say, okay, this video is violent, put a little warning on there that says, this is a violent video and you may not want to look at it if you're sensitive to this. But I wanted to see it and I couldn't see it. Now I got to go search it over the internet. And I'm sure I'll find it, so hiding it doesn't help me anyway. Help them. because I'm going to find it eventually. I'm going to find it eventually on the internet. I'm sure somebody makes a copy of it. This is the internet. Nothing ever will have it. And then I'm going to look at it the other way. And yet the majority of people are said, okay, you can't watch it because a bunch of people made a comment on Twitter saying, delete it, delete it. What the fuck is wrong with you people? The first thing that comes in your mind is, let's censor, let's censor, let's censor. First thing. You don't even realize there's a consequence to pushing somebody to censor. There's a consequence. As I said in the New Zealand case, I'm saying, oh, it didn't really happen. It wasn't that big of a deal. So I'm going to consider it to be a minor issue, and we're not going to worry about it. We're going to forget about that. And a few weeks from now, it didn't happen because I didn't see the video. But if I saw the video, it'd probably stick in my head, and I'll probably say, wow. Wow, that talk about evil. It's going to stick in my head. Talk about sick people. It's going to stick I'm going to remember that. But now I won't because I didn't see the video. So for this reason, I want to see the video. For me, I want to see the video. So this is now where we are in censorship. You may not believe me, guys. I mean, I'm not saying you agree with me. That's just, I have very strong feelings about censorship. Very strong feelings. I want freedom, privacy, and censorship-free environment. Let me decide. I have zucking brains. I can decide what's real, what's not real. Don't decide for me. Don't decide for me. I don't believe any of you, so don't decide for me. So, let's see what happened here. I'm going to tell you a progression that is really sad, but this is what happened. This is what happens when you zucking censor. It went from NewsGuard, which I'm going to talk about. From NewsGuard, it went to Dissenter, and now it's Jigsaw. So these are three products that just came out, in the last, some of them only a few days ago, and some of them from a couple of months ago. And it's like, this is what happens when you zucking censor, because you think there is no effect to it. Is that true, Yeshua? I don't know. It's that's a problem when you can't decide for yourself. Then you have to read whatever. You need a drink. Yeah, I don't know that, Yeshua. I'm not going to comment on that. I don't know anything about that. So I just I don't have enough knowledge to comment on what you just said. But let me just say this. Social media started to censor. And the first thing that happened, folks, was somebody said, let's fight back. And they come up with this browser extension called NewsGuard. Now, I have a video on this. You can watch my YouTube video on NewsGuard. And it's up on there on YouTube. Subscribe to my account. And then watch my video on NewsGuard. So what is NewsGuard? NewsGuard is an MSM tool. It was made to be pro-MSM, mainstream media. So what is NewsGuard? NewsGuard is supposedly a collection of bona fide journalists, meaning the only people who can be participating as the filters of content on NewsGuard are bona fide journalists, meaning you work for CNN, NBC, Fox News, New York Times, LA Times, that kind of thing. Okay, so mainstream media. So they decided NewsGuard is based on the theory that we can't decide what fake news is. So we want to make sure we influence what fake news is and what it's not. So we're going to do that by saying that if you load the extension, this is called NewsGuard, it will actually flag content on the internet. As you go around the internet, it's going to say, yup, this is fake news based on the review of the people, the journalists that are part of the NewsGuard team. Now, again, I'm telling you that this is not as transparent as it looks, because who the Zuck are in the NewsGuard group, and what do they vote for, who do they believe, what are their political beliefs, you don't know anything about that. It's just a bunch of journalists they put into the pool, and which are officially classified as mainstream media, meaning the same TV stations, the same thing you see in mainstream media, and they're now part of the group of NewsGuard. And they're supposed to say, this website is fake news, this website is real news. Okay, and just to give you a demonstration of this, I went and looked at WikiLeaks. So I actually loaded this the stupid extension on there. And it actually said, WikiLeaks is fake news. Now, I understand that depending on what happens, in this case, because WikiLeaks published some things anti-Hillary, then the left don't like WikiLeaks. But before Hillary, the actual posts on WikiLeaks were anti-Republican. They were like anti-war and so on, and they were actually anti-Republican. That's the stuff on WikiLeaks. I have found that though I may not like what shows up on WikiLeaks, that WikiLeaks is based on real documents. It's a whistleblower site, so the leaks are from real whistleblowers, not fake. No one has ever claimed that a single document on WikiLeaks has been fake. There's a CIA stuff in there and CIA documents and all that. No one has ever claimed they're fake. People are murdered for truth all the time. Truth is looked down upon by the powers that be. Yes, Yeshua, this is a way of controlling the population. So NewsGuard says, let's manipulate the people by saying, we're going to tell you what's fake news and what's not. And we labeled WikiLeaks as an example as fake news. Now, again, since WikiLeaks does not make any side comments about, it doesn't give any opinions. It just posts whatever it is. It just posts the documents. WikiLeaks itself has no opinions posted. I have not seen, I go to WikiLeaks all the time. There are no posted opinions on WikiLeaks. All they post are actual documents. There are no fake claims on WikiLeaks, since they're only posting documents. They don't make any claims. They just post the documents. They don't give you any input on what you're supposed to interpret from the documents. They just post real documents. Nobody's ever claimed that documents are fake. Then for NewsGuard to say, this is the first thing I check just to see if it's real. For NewsGuard to say it's fake news, I'm like saying, suck this. It immediately showed a bias, meaning somebody said, well, we don't want to look at WikiLeaks because they're posting things anti-Hillary and so on. And it's like, who does that cares if they post things pro or against Hillary? It's just zucking documents. It's how you interpret it. They're saying, well, they didn't post Trump documents. Well, who does that cares if they didn't post whatever documents? There are documents. They did not make any side comment. There are documents there, and they are real documents. It is not correct for a third party to say, like NewsGuard, that that's fake news. That is not accurate. That is not accurate. That is complete inaccuracy. Just because they didn't like the effect of the news. This is like saying, one of the things that was posted on WikiLeaks in the past was stuff relating to Putin. Putin was actually, Putin and the guy, the president of Iceland and some other countries, they were attacked on WikiLeaks because they showed the Panama Papers, where they were showing some how they were taking in bribes and money, and and having it handled in Panama, the Panama Papers. and Putin was implicated because of many of his cronies were raking in money, and that was in the Panama Papers. Okay, so and then this is the funny part. So he attacks Putin, and then they come around and say, okay, it's WikiLeaks is a pro-Russian site. And like I'm saying to myself, you may not like what it says. You may not like what it says. And I personally don't necessarily like what it says, because some of it can hurt, U.S. interests. And so I don't necessarily like what it says, but it is what it is. It's not fake news. And so somebody's telling me that I need to think that WikiLeaks is fake news, which is actually very, very dangerous thing to say. Yes, OPME. That OPME. Yes, exactly. Now, so talking about, this is the way that mainstream media wants to fight back. They said, well, because of alt media, alt left, alt right media, we're losing a voice. People don't pay attention to mainstream media anymore. They're looking at the internet and looking for options of information on the internet. And mainstream media wants to make sure that you don't get to see that without them filtering it. And so they want to filter it with NewsGuard. So again, to explain it to you again, NewsGuard is a browser extension that's supposed to mark various websites as fake news and non-fake news, based on the opinion of mainstream media journalists. They're not based on like common people. No, they're based on mainstream media journalists, and it should be apparent that mainstream media journalists are not a fair representation of the population. They tend to be biased in one direction. The majority of mainstream media fall into the liberal category. Now, again, that's not for me caring if you're liberal or not, but I'm supposed to trust a one-sided opinion, and that's supposed to be the basis of them deciding that somebody like WikiLeaks is supposed to be bad because at the last election, it happened to be anti-liberal. But at the prior election prior to that, it was actually anti-conservative. So it was like, for our convenience, because we want to manipulate the sucking vote, we're going to tell you that at the moment, this is fake news. Because we don't want you to be influenced and think that, whatever's being said in alt-right media is correct. So we're going to alter that and focus you on the fact that these are fake news and you shouldn't be listening to anything, including WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks, again, is not a opinion site. There are no opinions on WikiLeaks. It's black and white documents. So to me, it's completely fake to make that statement. Yeah, they can put arguments and say, oh yeah, but why did they publish these documents versus some other documents that they had? I don't know. You can come up with that excuse. Still, that does not justify making a statement that they are fake news. That doesn't justify that, because there's nothing fake about what I'm reading in there. I'm going to tell you that those CIA documents in there are obviously real documents. The CIA documents are real CIA documents. No one from the CIA said the CIA documents are false. No one. No one. I haven't heard it. Concept that someone can decide for me is ludicrous. Well, that's what's happening. So anyway, Kelp. So then comes the other side now. This comes the other side. So the right now said, well, we can't have that. We can't have some mainstream media saying that, that's fake news. We want to hear from alt-right. We don't want to deprive the alt-right of information. So we're going to respond by making a new app, a new browser extension called Dissenter. So Dissenter is a browser extension based on Gab AI. So Gab is the free speech site equivalent of Twitter, and if you go to Gab, it's mostly right wing. I've been on Gab, and there's a good number of white supremacists on there. I have to admit, there's a good number of them. It's I don't know what the proportions are, but the ones I've encountered, it's a good number. It's a fairly high number of versus the normal population. They're definitely concentrated on Gab AI, and there's a good number of white supremacists, and I would say that the majority of the people on Gab AI are conservative to various degrees. They're not necessarily extreme, but I would say that there's not going to be a large number of people on the left on Gab AI. Now, again, the Gab was not intended to be it was supposed to be a free speech site, but it became a haven for people kicked out of Twitter. So if the people felt like they were getting kicked out of Twitter, they wanted a space where they can speak. The problem, as I said before, about Gab AI is that the site has become an echo chamber because the only people there are people who think the same way. So you can't really have an argument because no one's going to argue with you. They're all going to say, yeah, right. Just shows you being denied free speech. What newspaper swings both ways? You mean a buy newspaper? I don't know. I'm gonna ask them if they're. Is there any newspaper that swings both ways? I'm not sure. Is there like a known magazine that says we're for buys? Is it safe to say they vote Republican? No, that's not. You mean on Gab AI? No, that's not safe to say. They could be voting Libertarian, but safe to say, buy newspaper. No one that is unbiased. Yeah, so it's safe to say that Gab does not have a lot of liberals on there. Okay, it's safe to say they don't have a lot of liberals in there. Anyway, so Gab AI is basically all the people rejected or felt like they were ignored on Twitter. They all bunched up and went to Gab. So and currently that group is the right. So the people on the right have bunched over at Gab AI, but they felt kind of alone on Gab AI because like they're talking to themselves and it's an echo chamber. So Torba, the creator of Gab AI, said, well, we need to come up with something better, and they come up with this solution that's kind of similar to NewsGuard, not quite, but similar. And what Dissenter is, so you can download this extension. It's called Dissenter, and what it is, it allows you to comment on any website or any post on Twitter or any post anywhere. So basically any link. And then you can make a comment on it, and then if you have the browser extension Dissenter, you can see what other people are commenting from Gab. People with a Gab account. So you can now see, if somebody posts, that we don't like, we don't like what, Trump is saying over here, then somebody from Gab will, counter that. But be invisible. Basically, they're not obvious to the people posting. They think nobody's reacting to them, but there's a secret comment being made on Dissenter to whatever it is you're posting, and it can be seen by anyone else on Dissenter. Yes, that's the spelling Hawaii dealer. That's exactly what it is, and it's a browser extension. So, in a way, then it does what the opposite of NewsGuard does, because NewsGuard is trying to let's face it, NewsGuard is trying to protect the liberal way of thinking by saying if it's not pro the belief of the liberal set of journalists, then it must be fake news. Dissenter then says, well, if it doesn't fall into the category of, of a right-wing kind of opinion, then we disagree with it and we will dissent, and then they will post those comments. So now, as you can see, no action remains without a reaction. There's always a reaction. So again, to just point it out to you, first we started off with social media saying we're going to ban you from social media, we're going to ban you from PayPal, we're going to ban you from Patreon, we're going to ban you from all these sites. Okay? We're going to ban you from all this. Then we're going to come around and say, okay, now that we ban you from all this, it will now be peaceful on Twitter and Facebook and all these other platforms. As you can see, that's not actually the truth. What Gibus? Thank you, Gibus. Thank you, Gibus. So I think some people just want the experience of being able to say it, then they realize it's an echo. No, it's not an echo here because they feel like they're saying it on the open space of the internet. It's kind of like talking behind somebody's back. So yes, you're talking to only the people on the right when you use the center, because that's the population. It's just the demographic of it. And when you're using NewsGuard, then you're talking to the journalists on the left. So they kind of bounce out, right? But this happened. This is the sad part. This happened because they got censored. If the censorship didn't occur, if they use censorship in a very, very limited way, which they don't, they didn't use censorship in a limited way. They said, we'll censor anyone that doesn't fall under this very broad category of behavior, that we want you to behave like this, and if you don't, narrow set of behavior, and if you don't follow this narrow midstream kind of behavior, don't worry, we're going to knock you out of the social media. We're going to knock you out of social media. So, I mean, I could be knocked out because, my belief here is apparently so unusual. I didn't realize that what I talk about is so non-mainstream. I didn't realize that. So, anyway, so there, they might censor me, but anyway, I don't attack anyone personally, though, and that's one of the rules they said. You have to attack somebody personally, and I don't do that. So anyway, going back to NewsGuard now. It's like a poker game, It's like, okay, Facebook and YouTube and Twitter bans. Then NewsGuard comes in, Dissenter fights back, and now here's the next round. Here's the next round, people. Next round. It just got announced that you can now have a Jigsaw browser extension. The original PC Tech for Life, it has to be the original Jigsaw. So, I've talked about Jigsaw a lot, about the AI, but now here's a new one. So now you can have a browser extension called Jigsaw that will actually filter out the comments so that you will not see some comments based on a filter of how aggressive you want to see what's on the internet. So basically you can pre-block, if you want to be in an echo chamber, Jigsaw is giving you a way to give you an echo chamber so that you don't see alternate opinions. So you can now load up Jigsaw. Now Jigsaw is a bigger company that does data weaponization, but this is a tool that they're giving you, which is to say that you can load Jigsaw up on your browser, and then you can dial down the rhetoric on the internet. So you can go on Twitter and you can dial down the rhetoric so you don't see the people saying ugly things back and forth. You can say, I want to see only happy things. I only want to see happy comments. I only want to see happy comments. Don't want to see any sad comments when you see happy comments. So that's what they did. They said, okay, we're going to see happy comments on the internet. And it's like, this is so sick what's happening now. Okay, and all because of the original censorship. If they did not censor originally, none of this will even matter. Yes, filters comments, to pre-block anything possibly upsetting. Yes, that's correct, Hawaii dealer. That is exactly what it is. So if you think, I'm a snowflake, I can't handle all that, I'm too sensitive, then I want to screen social media and I don't want to see that. And I like to think to myself, why are you going to a zucking website talking about zucking politics if you can't zucking handle it? So you basically say, I don't really want to hear the arguments against what I'm saying because I've made an opinion and therefore I will no longer have any other commentary coming to me that may cancel out my argument. So I don't really want to hear it. I don't want to hear any counter arguments. Yes, E.T. Buck. Yes, Moira. Do I need to block you, G-Bus? I guess you're like the same guy that. Are you sure you're G-Bus? With all your comments, as long as you do the watch minutes, that's fine. But do you actually even subscribe to my account? Are you even a subscriber, or are you just here to cause trouble? If you're subscribing to me, I'll let you talk. If you're not a subscriber, then we're gonna have to get rid of you. Yeah, he does sound like Monkey Man, but Monkey Man is here on Periscope. I'm not here. Pete, hello, Pete. Hello, Pete. Well, a lot of people are causing trouble here tonight. Oh yeah. Okay, so if you subscribe, you can talk about the squash nuts. So, anyway, I'm just thinking to myself, are you guys like oversensitive? You're like, you can't handle a different opinion, and you need the defense of Jigsaw. You can't handle any difference of opinion. It's going to hurt your feelings. It's going to hurt your feelings. If so, then can you handle intellectual discussions? Or are you one of those to say, well, I've given my thought, and that is the only thought possible. Well, how are you zucking different than a zucking Nazi or white supremacist or whatever is out there of the extreme, or KKK or whatever extremists? What makes you so different than those people who go out there and said, well, I'm of the belief that if you're not white, then you're scum of the earth, and we need to get rid of you because only white people need to survive in this world. I mean, what's the difference? Hello, Daniel Horton. And yet some of you will say, well, I'm actually quite liberal. But if you're liberal, then why do you think that that no other arguments exist? Don't confuse me with facts after I've made up my mind. Good point, Hawaii dealer. So, I'm just trying to say, why don't you, it's actually healthy to see truth. It's healthy to see the video that people have seen as so evil about what happened in New Zealand. I would like to see the video, to see the evil of this man, which now I can't see because somebody said I need to censor this. I can't see the sucking video. I wish I could see the sucking video so I remember in my mind how evil it is, and now I can't see that. Because a bunch of people, 50% of the people who saw it said, take this video down. Delete it. Delete it. It's like, suck you. If you don't want to watch the sucking video, don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't sucking decide for me. It's pretty simple. Don't tell me what to watch. If you don't want to watch it, it is your right not to watch it. Don't tell me. I don't need somebody from sucking NewsGuard telling me. I don't need somebody from Twitter or Facebook or YouTube telling me what I should or shouldn't see. I'm a pretty moderate kind of guy. I'm pretty moderate. I can change my opinion depending on what I hear. I am not from one side or the other. I can prove that. There are many things that will be said on the left and the right, and I will not agree with either one. And I'll agree with some of it. But now I am not allowed to see the evil of what this killer terrorist did in New Zealand. Therefore, it will be out of sight, out of mind, and I'm going to say, oh, must not have been that bad, because I don't recall really seeing anything that bad. So I'll forget about it. But let me tell you, there's nothing to be forgotten if you can see it visually and you see some people actually killed. And it may be horrible for some of you and you can't handle it, you can't sleep, then don't want to fucking watch it. For somebody like me, if I saw that, I would just appreciate the evil that was in there, and I'll never forget it, and that will affect me for the rest of my life. But now you're not giving me that chance because you fucking decided in social media to filter that and delete it because you can't handle, because a bunch of people can't handle that, even with warning that says, don't watch this. I am the moderate, therefore I am a target. Yes, I know that. I am a target. I know I am a target. By the way, G-Bus and Opiami, just so you know, that, I do have a filter going on here. So if you start using bad words, then I do block them. So I let a few, I approved a few things in here, but I let some squeeze in, but you need to stop. Alma should we be able to decide? They don't let us do that, Alma. They don't let us. We're apparently not able to decide for ourselves because we're just a bunch of kids. We want to be controlled by society that decides for us. So they're going to decide for us what's important. We can't decide for ourselves. And that's the consequence of censorship. What would have happened? Look, just to repeat this. You may not like somebody like an Alex Jones, but Alex Jones is not the same, level as seeing a video about some sucking killer in New Zealand. I can watch a lot of Alex Jones and say, this guy is a conspiracy theorist. And I will actually know that because I've got common sense. I watched the guy and I said, okay, that makes sense, but that's a conspiracy theory. And I know that. I mean, it's idiotic that somebody in social media thinks they're so much smarter than me that they have to tell me that. Will they discipline themselves though? Librarians are receptive to this. Librarians are receptive to this message. Looking at the censorship people think the next right-wing terrorists will expect this murder video to stay posted. Yeah, but you don't understand that the majority of people who are not, you mean like a copycat will say, oh, I'm going to go copy that sucking video. Well, maybe they maybe these terrorists should all come out of the woodwork so we can shoot them down. Maybe they should just come out of the woodwork and say, yes, I want to be a copycat. And then with extra security, and they got shut down, and then we'll rid ourselves of these stupid fools. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe. But to censor it means that the majority of us, the majority of good people, don't really get to see the evil for what it is. We got to get a censored kind of evil. Like, it's not really that evil. It's moderately evil or even just mildly evil because we didn't ever saw the video. You see the video, then you might say, oh, that's really evil. Okay? It's like, the shooting in Las Vegas. The shooting in Las Vegas. Now, you can see how evil that is because you can hear the fucking bullets raining down on the people, and you can see them hunkering down. You can see, people get shot right there, and you could actually see it, and that shows you the kind of evil that it is, and you can actually feel it. And now here they said, well, we're going to censor it. And then we're going to say, okay, so we're going to censor this, and then third parties are going to add censorship, and then other parties will say, well, we'll counter the censorship with anti-censorship. It's like, this is so sucked up. We have to play the zucking cat and mouse games on the zucking internet, hiding all this, when this could have been solved by saying, let's use censorship in a very, very narrow, limited way. Let's use it in a limited way. But no, can't do that. Come on, Kelp. You watch Die Hard and you look at the violence and say, well, that's not real life. So you see it in real life and you say, oh, that's just like Die Hard. Come on, Kelp. Come on. I mean, we all have enough common sense to know what's real and what's not real. Come on. We are not allowed, Alma Cantu, to see what we want to see and decide for ourselves. We're not allowed to do that because I guess we have the brains of zucking children. We have the brains of children. By the way, you could have posted the video on Brax.me and no one's going to remove it. Okay? You could have posted a video on Brax.me and I certainly will not remove it. So if you want a environment where anyone can talk left and right, Brax.me is not a right-wing or left-wing site. You can post on there. No one is going to remove it. We all know that. Why do we have to see it on the movies? Because, Kelp, when you see it in real life, you remember the evil versus somebody saying to you that there was a Holocaust and you did not zucking see it. So you can come back and say later, well, it didn't really happen, because we have some people who are, claiming that the Holocaust is a conspiracy, just like the moon landing. Okay? That's what they say. You hear that now, some right-wing, white supremacists are saying the Holocaust didn't happen. So if I actually, see things with my eyes or hear a witness talk about it directly, I would feel it in a way that, would not be as filtered as if I read it in a filtered book intended for children. Maybe no tolerance for all is because of the violence they've made into a popcorn event. Every movie seems to need to show it. Kelp, come on, seriously. You actually think we cannot... Kelp, you're thinking we're children, right? Kelp thinks we're children. We can't, we watch the Die Hard movies, on the movies, and we say, you must watch the John Wick movies on TV, and you say, that's gotta be so real. The John Wick movies are real, so I mean, it's like you can't distinguish between what's real and what's not. Well, Kelp, if you can't distinguish, then you have another problem. It's maybe up here. I think most of us can figure it out. Okay. You don't have to watch it when server. All you have to do is put the proper labeling, say warning, there's violence in here. If you feel like you have PTSD and you whatever, don't watch it. There's a correlation to seeing violence and doing it. I have not. They've been talking about it for 50 zucking years, Kelp, and I don't think that's true. Okay? Kelp, they've said this since I was a kid, that the violence on TV is related to violence in real life. I don't think so. Chief Tor Nazi, they claim to be right-wing, but they're obviously, a different group altogether. Right? I realize that, Chief. They claim to be right-wing, but they're actually, they're just sick and, sick. Why are we as safe as we were 50 years ago, and you call me naive? We were as safe. So Kelp is saying we did not have violence 50 years ago. Kelp is saying there was no violence 50 years ago. Kelp is saying that the violence today does not compare to the violence 50 years ago. You zucked up, Kelp? You zucked up? You zucked up, Kelp? I mean, really? You think that? I mean, I guess you don't look, like you said, you don't look at history. Anything past 10 years here did not exist. So apparently you don't know about all the, murders and everything that happened in the 70s. Are you like zucked up? Oh, come on, Kelp. And that has to do with what you watch on TV. Yes. They've been saying that should happen a long time ago, okay? Is it true that Zuckerberg just bought Periscope? No. Why would Zuckerberg buy Periscope? It already has Facebook Live. To buy Periscope, they'd have to buy Twitter. How can you say it isn't? Are you inventing this stat, Kelp? I'm looking around the world. It's no different than it was then. It's the same thing. Okay? Even the 9/11 event is one event. There wasn't like a 9/11 every week. Okay? Yes, Twist Mint. It's like, he makes up these stories and it doesn't make any sense. Patch the First, Twitter owns Periscope, yes. Hello, Patch the First. You can name the terrorist attacks in 950 years today. There are so many, we forget. You can name the terrorist attacks in 1950 U.S. today. He said 50 years. 50 years is 1970s. Did you forget about Iran? Did you forget about the Lebanon? I mean, Kelp is like zucked up 50 years ago. 40-some years ago. Okay, you forgot all about the stuff during the Carter years. You forgot all about it. Like, there was no violence back then. It's like, suck you. How will anyone understand if we don't see what is truly happening this day and times? Cuba, we're talking about the United States. We are talking about the zucking United States, Kelp. It was done to zucking Americans. Oh, you forgot about all the, the cruise ship and all the, and all the stuff that, it happened in Iran. It doesn't count, even if it's done to American citizens. Oh, we forgot about the Vietnam War. We only have so many Americans killed in Vietnam. That didn't really happen. There was no violence back in the day. Oh yeah, and how about those? How about those? Uh, uh, serial killers. They didn't exist. They only watch TV, so they're serial killers now. There was no serial killers in the past. Oh come on, Kelp. You and your zucked up history. It's like, your idea of history is zucked up. It doesn't have any connection to reality. And by the way, Kelp, why don't you go read some history back in the, 1600s, the 1500s, and talk about the violence then? You think it's less violent then because they didn't have TV? Yeah, Kelp thinks that there was no violence in the 1200s and the 1500s and during the, all the wars and battles. He doesn't even think about World War I, which is like so full of violence. And he'd said, well, World War I could not have been so violent because they didn't have TV with violence on it. They never get to watch movies like Die Hard during World War I, so it couldn't have been that violent. World War II could not have been that violent. That you don't know your history, Kelp, because you're like, you're talking crap that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense what you're saying. You're creating this idea of this world that somehow, but it doesn't have anything to do with my. Hello, Pete. How are you doing, Pete? But it doesn't have anything to do with what I was saying anyway. My point is censorship. You're taking me away from my topic, Kelp. The topic is censorship. I don't believe that censorship is a good thing because there are consequences. The consequences that I'm talking about right now is that now we're being manipulated all by other parties now because the main apps, Apple and Google, and then YouTube and Facebook and Twitter decided that they're going to decide for you what they want you to see. So they decide for you. They decide for you. And so now, because that's happening, people are countering back. They're saying, well, mainstream media wants to decide for you with NewsGuard. Then Gab AI said, no, the people on the right want to decide for you with Dissenter. No, Google says, no, we're going to decide for you with Jigsaw. What is Amazon doing exactly? They censor our don't base on agenda they're shooting for. They censor our I'm trying to understand what you said there, Chief, but good to see you here, Chief. Is there a Kelp Guard extension? I'm trying to understand what you just said there, Chief. Let me try to see if I can come back and look at that comment again. I guess I gotta go to Periscope. Banning books. Oh, they censor or don't based on agenda they're shooting for. Yes, exactly, Chief. Yes. Yes. Yeah, depending. Yes. So if they're pushing for a belief system, because everyone wants to control us, and they say, well, and here's a good solid example. Okay. So a certain amount of the population say that if you voted for Trump, then you're wrong. If you voted for Trump, then you're wrong, because Trump is XYZ, and then they have this long list, right? And you don't deserve to be paid attention to because you voted for Trump. Therefore, you must know nothing. I'm like looking at that, and you say, well, if there were past presidents that got elected, I don't think ever anyone ever said before, well, if you voted for Obama, then you don't deserve to be listened to because you're not a real person. And everything that you say must not be real because you voted for Obama. I mean, it's a sucked up attitude. Why don't you just decide, think for yourself? Some part of the population voted for X for Trump. Some part of the population voted for Hillary. One won, one lost. Period. So obviously it means we don't all agree. We don't need to draw any more conclusions than that, than the fact that we don't agree. But we're making other conclusions from it, saying, well, you're not a real person because you voted for Trump. You're not a real person because you voted for Hillary. And my response is like, how do we get here? How do we get here? Back in the old days, when a president wins, then that's it. Wait till your chance to vote again in 4 years. And then see what happens. In the meantime, you deal with it. But no, it doesn't work like that. I don't understand this. I really don't. Obviously, the people decided to vote for Trump. So why don't you respect the ones who voted for Trump and those who voted for Hillary and respect them for what they did and say, well, obviously we have differing opinions and this time one side won. But we can't do that anymore. We can't do that. It's got to be like, there's only one opinion. It's mine. And if you voted for the other guy, then you're wrong. You must not be a real person. And this, you know what this happens now? It makes us look at each other like, anyone who's, on the right must be, gun-toting violent people. Excuse me. And anyone on the left's got to be like, I don't even know because, it's not appropriate to characterize, the left as saying that they're, the right says, oh, you're a bunch of snowflakes, because that's not really true. I mean, the left is more like an Antifa. I mean, they're also pretty polarized and very, very, very active. So it's equal. Do you know your 1850 U.S. history was exactly the same? So, but you just said that you're being inconsistent, Kelp? You just said that we're affected because we're watching all this violence on TV. And now, you're inconsistent, Kelp. Go Rice Girl. See, I'm different, guys. I actually respect people on the left. I respect people on the right. As long as you talk in a in a way that explains your belief rather than do name calling, I can actually understand what each side says. If somebody says I am not for the wall because, and then they make the statements, and then the ones on the right say I'm from the wall because of these statements, and then you can actually see, what is in their argument that maybe a misunderstanding of fact, perhaps, on either side. But we don't even do that. We don't talk like that. We talk like it's each side is all about evil. And in reality, the world is not as polarized as it looks. It really isn't. I talk to people on the left and on the right all the time, and each one has very good opinions of what they believe in. And we all, have reasons for believing that because of our life history or whatever else that we have experienced in life, and it's fair. It's a fair thing. So I don't believe just because somebody from the right will say something doesn't mean that I should listen to it. Just like when somebody says it on the left that I should listen to it. I don't. I got to look at it individually and not because whoever my party is said so. And I don't know what's happened now that, guess what, guys? The more we censor in social media, the more the side effects are very, very bad. The side effects that we're experiencing now is because we're stepping outside of what we should have done, and now we're creating little communities now. And this is the problem. If my senator runs for election, I'm not voting for him. If we I forgot what I was saying now. The problem is presenting the news and not being. Back in the old days, and this is something that Kelp will argue with me about, but back in the old days, I remember when the news back in the day wasn't so full of opinion. It was actually more just stating the news, and then we get to decide for ourselves. It's not like that anymore. It's like it's 90% opinion, 10% just stating the news. 90% opinion. And because of who controls the media, then the news tend to be biased a certain way. And again, this is not a left or right issue. It's just the reality is when you don't have a balanced discussion, some people are not heard. And here's the problem with this, that I really have to appreciate this guy. His name is Tim Pool, and he was the one interviewed by Joe Rogan with Jack Dorsey, and I have to appreciate his thought process because it's very, very similar to mine. And this is I'm going to conclude with this. The thing is that when you prevent somebody from speaking, and they feel like they're not heard, and they feel like they're being curtailed from speaking, it results in a pent-up emotion that often gets released in violence. So, free speech actually cuts down violence. Having a vent, it's like having a steam vent. What happens if you have a pot and you don't let the steam out? It sucking explodes. Okay, think about a pressure cooker and you block the steam vent. That's what happens here. When you have free speech, the steam vents. We get to hear. The other thing that happens is as we hear extremes on both sides, it actually moderates people. Just like if I saw the violence from New Zealand, my immediate reaction will be, what horrible evil. Just like when I watched the buildings fall down on 9/11, that really made me so upset because I saw thousands of people killed in that TV broadcast. It was something you could feel right at that moment, and you imagine, oh my gosh, thousands of people killed right then. And can you imagine if that was censored? Yeshua, yes. Can you imagine if 9/11 was censored? What did I miss there, Twistmint? You must be talking about the mob guy. So, in my mind, free speech is a vent, and the more Twitter and all these platforms censor, the effect is long-standing. It actually makes it worse. We create a more polarized society. We radicalize people. People now are talking in an echo chamber, building out an opinion on 4chan, 8chan, Gab AI, and they're getting more violent. This guy apparently was in New Zealand, was a child of the poll group on Reddit and 8chan. So he's a child of that, all those zucking racists on those platforms. And that's because they're not allowed to speak anyplace else. So they said, well, we'll talk in our own private little group here, and where I can, preach to the choir about the value of white supremacy. And then he thinks like that and said, well, we need to go eliminate anyone else who doesn't think along our lines. And he actually believes that because he does not hear a countering opinion. We get moderated by people outing us and saying, you zucking piece of zucking ZHIT. You have a zucked up opinion, my friend, and not my friend. You have a zucked up opinion, and, you're quite wrong. He doesn't hear that. So in his mind, oh yeah, this is the thing to do. And I'm defending the rights of all white people in the world by doing X. And I'm protecting all Christians by shooting a bunch of people in New Zealand, Muslims in New Zealand. Okay? And then, and by the way, if I gathered right, we're not even talking about like Arab Muslims. We're talking about people from Bangladesh. Bangladesh. That's not exactly like Afghanistan. Or how about a mosque of people from Malaysia? This sick thinking, it's like, has anybody been attacked by any Malaysian Muslims? You been attacked by Malaysian Muslims? They seem to be getting along fine with their Christian neighbors. More to it than meets the eye. I don't know. It's just so strange, It's like, Anyway, if he had a chance to have a discussion like that, if I had a chance to talk to this guy and say, oh, well, I should go out there and kill some Muslims, and it's like, which Muslims? Apparently, he may not even realize that, not all Muslims are from Saudi Arabia and Iran and Iraq. They're like from Malaysia, Bangladesh. It's like, what did they ever do to you? Anyway. So I'm just saying that that's the kind of thing that you could bring up in an argument if the guy was out in the open. If this guy was posting on open Twitter, not banned, he would have gotten comments like that, which could have made him, think a little bit, maybe a little 2% move in his thinking that could have prevented it from turning into a terrorist attack. The guy would say, huh? Yeah, but you don't have to convince him completely, just enough to moderate him by a tad, enough to say, well, probably not worth shooting. Maybe he'll decide, well, I really only intended to kill, a certain kind of Muslim over in the Middle East, so maybe I have to go to the Middle East to shoot. I guess I'm not going to go to New Zealand and shoot people in New Zealand because they're from Bangladesh. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying that That's part of why you want an open discussion, because you can moderate thinking by having an exchange of opinions. The gizmo still good. What gizmo is that? How could he mention his concern in public without being made an example? How could he mention his concern in public being made an example? Well, that's the whole point. You say something in public freely, people respond to you freely. If you're saying you're not allowed to say this in public, you say it in private. A lot of the racists that show up here on my Periscope, on my broadcast, are actually 15-year-old kids. And why do they come to my scope and say things like, chink and stick an egg wall up my ass and stuff like that? Why do they say that? It's because they're not exposed. Their exposure is to their family, whatever they talk about at dinner. It means their own parents are saying racist things at the dining table, and we don't get to see that. The fact that they're talking here on Periscope shows that they're exposing what they would talk about privately at the dining table, and we can see them here and say, "You stupid Zuck. We need to zuck you up, you stupid Zuck, because of what you say." Because obviously your stupid parents are too stupid to realize, how stupid they are. We get to tell them that. Or you can leave them alone, as Kelp said. Okay, well, I guess we're not gonna, we don't get to hear their opinions, and they just think it quietly, and they'll go over to 4chan in the poll group on Reddit to attach to people with their same kind of thinking, and now you have radicalized them. You've turned them to radicals. You're giving too much credit? No, it's not that much credit. Like I said, all it would take is a couple of percentage change in opinion, and that may not turn him to a non-racist, but at least may have turned him into a non-terrorist. You think 4chan is secret? Kelp, you go to 4chan like you go to Gab AI. You can go to Gab AI now. It's a place where nobody filters you there, so they, instead of speaking out on the open, you talk to only the people that have your same kind of thinking. Like, I wouldn't go to the poll group on Reddit because I already know what the opinions are. Let's not forget the 130 dead in Paris. No, I forgot already. I didn't see the Zucking video. Kelp. It was censored. I didn't see any Zucking videos. I forgot already. Hello, Rob. I already forgot. They already censored the video, so I don't remember it now. That's the effect of censorship. You wipe out the memory. You're like, this is like 1984. Take away the data, then you actually don't think that it happened. I remember Las Vegas because I saw the video. I didn't see the video on Paris. My mother was in Paris at the time. My mother was in Paris. She was right there when it was happening. She arrived the night before. She was in Paris when it was happening. So that was stuck in my mind because, oh my gosh, my mother's right there in Paris when this is happening. And, she was safe, but, Scalp saying, yes, unknown person, yes. So, anyway, it's just, so you admit video as yes, that's why I don't want it to be censored. No, Kelp, you're exactly opposite. I want to see the video so I sense it and feel it. Okay, Scalp doesn't get it. He's saying watch Die Hard, and you're supposed to want to shoot and kill people because you watch Die Hard. That's a Kelp mentality. It's like you can't distinguish between a real event and not. Okay, I watch a Vietnam War movie, and therefore I want to kill some gooks. I watch some video on the Vietnam War, and I'm going to kill some gooks. Come on, Kelp. No, Kelp. You are so inconsistent. I don't know what to tell you. You are so inconsistent. Yes. Yes, Kelp. If you can't distinguish between reality and not reality, I don't know what to tell you. Okay? I don't know what to tell you. So, if you're telling me that seeing a video of somebody killing people during 9/11, during this New Zealand thing, or in Paris, which I didn't see any video of Paris, but if they showed a video of that would be equivalent to a video game, and you actually are telling me that, like, you really believe that? What's going on in society today hasn't changed. Society hasn't changed, but they're now being radicalized by what's happening in social media. We're being radicalized by what's happening with censorship. Must be a hoax, because they pulled a video. So New Zealand must be a hoax too, because I didn't see the video. They pulled the video, so it must be a hoax too. At some point, I'm going to think it's a hoax because I didn't see it. Have you watched Ender's Game? I have the book. I haven't read the book. I guess I should read the book someday. I do have the book. It hasn't changed. There weren't radicals in the past. Something changed in people's moral compass. You're imagining things, Kelp. The moral compass didn't change. What happened was social media changed us. Because you're missing the point. Social media restricted information, and social media is now causing this in the last few years. This is not that many years. Since 2016, social media has caused extreme fracturization and radicalization and polarization of society. And that's the reality. It is that. It doesn't make the bulk of us more evil, but there's more polarized radicals on each side, and it was caused by preventing them from speaking. In my mind, that is my opinion. You don't have to believe that, but that's what I believe. That because they were curtailed from speaking, they are now causing a radicalized group of people in society. That's what I feel. You don't have to believe that because, freedom of speech. You can believe something else. I just want to make sure that I did a broadcast on this. Then I'll go back to my normal cybersecurity broadcast. And, I just have to say this because cybersecurity privacy is not something that's limited to just hiding yourself on the internet. Cybersecurity and privacy affect us in ways that if something influences us improperly, because it's a manipulated piece of information, that is part of cybersecurity. That's manipulation. That is what I'm concerned about. I don't want to be manipulated by third parties, including platforms that tell me what to say, what I should think, what I should do. I, as a good person, want to decide that for myself. I'm very offended, by the way, that, as I've said at the beginning of my broadcast, that somehow Patreon has flagged my account as suspicious. For those of you who know me, this is the most ludicrous thing I have ever fucking seen, that my account will be flagged as suspicious. With no commentary. I have no idea why they would flag it as suspicious. So, my friend who lives in New Zealand was the project manager responsible for building a refugee center. Everyone is very shocked by what has happened. But did you steam from Patreon? Did I stream? Yeah, I heard about that Twist Mint, but I don't really know the story. Change her views based on exposure to new ideas. I think that it's a bit more subtle than that. It doesn't happen in that extreme. People just change Uh, I change, I hear an opinion and I may have an extreme view, and then I say, you're right. It's not so obvious. You know, when you see examples on both sides, you start to moderate your opinion, say, now I see where that stands. So an extreme side often is balanced out when you see another argument. Well, it hasn't been removed from my life, E.T. Buck, so maybe because you bucks Zuck. It's in the company pyramid scheme because they raise venture capital. I don't know. It's to be honest, I don't need Patreon at all. I mean, it's not important to me. But I set it up and people put money into it and I can't withdraw it because they flagged my account as suspicious. And I'm like, I'm about as straight up as you can be. So what the Zuck did I do that was suspicious? Because I use a VPN? Is that suspicious? I sell Zucking VPNs. Is it because I have a video on doxing? I don't, doxing is not what I do. I teach you how to protect yourself from doxing. So I don't know what the Zuck is all about. I don't know. Because I say Zuck, because they say, well, you're saying all these bad words. Zuck is a bad word? I am the least suspicious person out there. I do not do anything, worthy of any kind of attention from any platform. I'm pretty clean on all platforms. I've never been banned on Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, or even Facebook. On any platform, never been banned, never been suspended, never been done anything because I don't hurt people. I don't do anything, and then I'm flagged as suspicious. It's like say, "Suck you." Hey, Ron, what's up, man? Suck you. I'm like that's my response. Well, it's like that's true, Ron. I don't read comments anymore. Comments are you curse all the time. Mr. Kung Fu. Do I still have a Kung Fu? Do I still do Kung Fu? What the Zuck is wrong with? By the way, is it Kung Fu also on? Can somebody tell me if it's still Kung Fu on? Is it still Kung Fu on YouTube or it's just on Periscope? Can somebody give me? Is it Kung Fu on YouTube? Kung Fu on both? What? And can somebody tell me what number of seconds? Because there's a way to tweak that if I know. Like, is the voice behind, ahead? Okay, it's entire Meyer, yes. Okay, so I'm going to say count, okay? Ready, set, go. Go. What's the delay? Go. Go. 1 second. Which one is off? Which one is behind? The video or the sound? Which one? Video behind, voice behind. Do I again? Okay. I want to know which one is behind though, Ron. Voice versus video. Ready, set, go. Go. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Voice is ahead by what? 1 second, 2 seconds? Okay, 4. I'll count it down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, voice is ahead by 1 second, so delay voice by 1 second. I'm going to adjust that. I can do that. Always been that way for me. Okay. Tomorrow I will adjust it because I didn't know what it is. Thank you for informing me. I will. Ricardo says it. What voice behind? 2 seconds. Okay, so that'll be hard. Okay, so 1 finger behind. Seems to me anyone can set up a website like Payton without big venture backing. So okay, so I'll adjust and delay the sound tomorrow by 1 second, and then we'll see what happens. Who listens to both at once? You at least have one discerning, honest viewer. So Ron, I told you at the beginning. Yeah, but I need to know exactly what to do. So thank you for the input. So tomorrow I will delay the sound by 1 second. My bill is in the mail. So Ron, you tell me this. By the way, I don't know if you heard. Egg Drop, I guess, is shutting down or shut down. So that's part of the news. Egg Drop shut down. So I don't know what that's all about. What is that? No, Maui, I just needed the numbers. Batting a mosquito. So Egg Drop shut down. 1 second. Okay, I will adjust it 1 second tomorrow. I will push the sound behind by 1 second. So the other thing is, I'm just curious, guys. You think if the second point is, I don't know about this, Ron, but my numbers on Periscope have like dropped precipitously. Like, I don't know, I've lost so many viewers on Periscope, and I want to know if according to Ron, it's because I don't read my comments. But I'm happy to get criticism if there's something that I'm doing that you want me to change. I scope to negative numbers now, but I would like to know what I need to change to if somebody's being offended by what I say or whatever. I'm happy to receive input. No, even with YouTube, there's only 100 people at YouTube. I think Periscope's not as popular as it used to be. Yeah, but the numbers have dropped like significantly for me. Are you sure, Ron? Because I feel really like, like I should take it personally, like I'm really bad. Globalist is all call-ins now? Is that what it is? It's because I don't do call-ins that I've fallen behind. You will scope tonight in crickets. Okay, so I should feel bad. So we're like the same. Okay, call in Zuck. I don't know, unknown person. I see numbers go down. You have to pay attention. Thank you, LG Knight. Guys, I don't have an ego. When people tell me that I'm zucking up, I want to know I'm zucking up. I don't. Mine too, yours too. If I don't put I put squash in here, Ron, I'll get 4,000 viewers, easy. I'll be frank with you. I put the squash in, I get to 4,000. So I decided it's not important anymore. The best kung fu scope. You need to guess on next use's scope. I gotta like figure out all this like changing of names from what's it Fem Yoga before, now it's Next Juice. When you play piano, I like to jam along with my ukulele. Yeah, it's just I don't know. Just let me know if I'm screwing up, guys. I do my thing. I make my videos, and I believe in what I believe in. And people, have you seen? Well, I can't feel too badly about that, Ron, because I'm peddling things too. I mean, so. I peddle things too, so it's like you're going to say, well, I got to go criticize other people for peddling things, and, the next thing you're going to come and say, you're peddling things too, Rob, so we need to zuck you here on Periscope too. You will die laughing. Well, I saw it, but, I just, I don't criticize people what they sell. Doesn't mean people will buy it. Doesn't mean people will buy it. I zucking genuine things. To join you on screen, Periscope, and talk live. It's been done in a few scopes I've seen. Yes, Rob, that's called call in, but I'm on YouTube, so I'm not broadcasting on Periscope. You use the Tor router as a butt plug. It's kind of big for that, Ron. Tor router is big. It's about, it's bigger than the butt of this gun. It's bigger than it's bigger than this. It's about as big as a phone. Can you use this, Ron? It's kind of big. Don't diss my aperture. It's kind of big, like this, and thick. So anyway, I have live call-in is a Periscope thing. Yes, I don't do Periscope, so I'm not doing Periscope alone. So I'm not gonna do call-in. You enjoy the challenge. So the next couple of days, and by the way, before I go, I want to tell you about the video. I made a video on location tracking on YouTube. I made a video on location tracking, so subscribe to my YouTube account. Is that your cyber security a Glock? Yes. I only watch. You only watch one zuck at a time, huh? I actually listed phones that can substitute, that don't track you. So I actually search for phones. I put it in the comment section on there. What I'm going to do next week is I actually bought a phone, and I'm actually going to demonstrate it and then show you, how. Thank you, Ricardo Nuno. I'm actually going to demonstrate by actually using a live phone and show you an example of how you can use it, because we cannot give these things up, right? So I'm going to show you an example of how we can use it. You bought a phone. What happened to your pickpocketing skills? Waiting for the podcast. So I will make a video talking about actual devices. In fact, that's probably a good thing to talk about actual things. One of the things that I've talked about in the past is about WPA3. That's a standard for encryption on routers. I'm going to tell you this right now. It's almost impossible to give up, but you can turn them off. You can turn it off, Rob, and then use it only with Wi-Fi when you need to. You can turn it off and use another phone for texting and phone, and then use this when you're in a safe place. So I want to talk about actual things rather than non-actual things. So as an example, the router. I'm going to tell you this right now so you don't make a mistake. If you're looking at routers, like Ron, if you're thinking about upgrading your router because you want to go buy some updated Google Mesh router, something you see on sure, invite Weiner to watch. So if you're actually going to buy a router, my advice to you is do not buy one. Do not buy one until I tell you. Do not buy a router because you are going to be sucked. You're going to waste your money. Wait. I will tell you when. Okay? I will tell you when and what brands you can buy. Don't buy now. They do not support WPA3. Yeah, you didn't buy it. Okay, that's good. They do not support WPA3 yet. They will have to support it. Windows is coming up with WPA3 in April next month, and then presumably shortly after that, the manufacturers will issue the new software for the routers. I'm sure they're making it now. You may have to suspend buying a router till June or July or something. Okay, so do not buy a router. I'm going to make videos when the time comes, and we're going to pick out some routers that you can buy. But do not do that right now. I don't want to waste your money. Okay, don't waste your money buying routers. This is not the right time to buy them. Not the right time. So I'm buying a really cheap laptop. I can show you some laptops. Great to see you, my friend. 12. How many did I get, Ron? Did I even get 500? 494. Ron, I'm so famous now. I have 494 people on my scope. 400. Oh my God, just such an embarrassment. I have 28 live right now on Twitter. I mean on YouTube, and there's 31 on Periscope. There's 28 on YouTube. I've got equal number of people watching on YouTube. I may get a couple hundred people on YouTube and then 500 on Periscope. What's a number in corner mean? I'm confused. The number, you made it big. The number in the corner shows concurrent people here right now. Concurrent. So anyway, let me tell you them all. Anyway, so that's one of the things I'm going to talk about. Devices. And the other thing is has the current WPA7 been rendered hackable already? WPA2 is hackable, yes. WPA3 is very difficult to hack, very difficult. So that's why you want to get there. WPA3 is only for it will be for every device. Here's the Perry number. This will be every device will have. Thank you, Donzo, for switching, but I'd rather you stayed on YouTube. I don't really care about the Perry numbers. The Perry numbers don't affect me. If I need to get Perry numbers, I just put in some squash. I'll just do a broadcast with just squash, get the numbers, and then say, okay, there we go, get the numbers. It's not important. What does being a VIP on Periscope mean? Nothing. It doesn't do anything. So anyway, I got lots of ideas for the next couple of days. There was a guy, and this is a topic I want to cover in the next couple of days, maybe sometime over the weekend. There's this guy who said he wanted to hide from the internet, and he actually came up with a process of hiding. And I want to discuss that. I actually posted on RU Sheep in Brax. And he actually went through the steps of, how he had to hide himself. Not that we would all want to do all those steps, but it's interesting to see what he did and use it in our own life in some limited way. You may say, well, I'll take part of that to see if I can partially hide. Because some of the stuff I talk about, but here's a real example. Somebody actually did it. And I want to talk about that sometime this weekend. Maybe Sunday or Monday. Okay, I want to talk about that. And that'll be fun to kind of like analyze and see how he did it, because I keep talking about it, but it's kind of nice to see an actual person do it, and then see what the effect is. So this guy basically hid from people without going out and disconnecting from society. He still has a phone. He still still does normal things, but he basically disconnected. Squash, fruit or vegetable. Whatever you want it to be, LG Knight. Anyway, guys, thank you. I wanted to end my scope at 9:30. I cannot watch Monday. Okay, I'll do it before then. So anyway, thank you. I actually wanted to end my broadcast at 9:30, and we went a little bit over. Okay, thanks, Twistman. I didn't know if the discussion was okay or not. Title that carefully, would be interesting. I don't know. Suggest a title, Moira. I don't know. Is there any problem with the title? Just tell me. Thank you, my friends, and I'll see you. I'll adjust the voice tomorrow by 1 second. Thank you, my friends. Good night.